No, you don't need the.
I'm doing this my way.
He a legend, he a legend, he a legend. He a legend, he a legend, he a legend. He a legend. Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of items. Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of items.
Hey, what's up everybody? It's Michael with League of Items, and today I'm going to do a little bit of a breakdown, game by game, for the EU Master slate that we're getting. So it's going to be a little different. Draftkings and Fanduel are offering different kinds of competitions for it. On Draftkings, we have a 2-game slate, which I just don't like in general. I think the 2-game slates are really boring. But Fanduel is doing something pretty cool. They're taking every single match from that day and having you just pick the players once. So basically in EU Masters it's like a group event. The first part of the event is a group stage where every team has to play each other twice, and on Wednesday everybody in the group is going to play everyone else in the group. So I think that's a cool style for EU Masters, and it's also cool that FanDuel is kind of leaning into that and just gonna basically do the same thing. So right now the standings for Group B, we have Vodafone Giants in first place. They're from Spain. LDLC is in second place, 2-1. They're from France. AGO Rogue is from Poland. They're in third place. And then I guess this one is from I forget what the region is called, but apparently they're all from the Netherlands, it looks like. So obviously the easiest way to project these games is to just go based off of Vegas, and we're going to take a look at Vegas later. But before we do that, I wanted to take a look at some of the information we have from these teams in the games that they've played so far. So first, let's go to Vodafone Giants. So we're going to take a look at the pick ban more closely when we do all the breakdowns for the individual games. But one thing I like to do is look at this page because it shows me the different champions that they pick a lot and ban a lot. So if we look at bans during their regular season and parts of the EU Masters, we see a lot of set bans, Cassiopeia bans, and some of this is going to be because of the teams that they're playing against, specifically in the playoffs. But then there's also some overpowered picks that you want to avoid. So set in general, I think, was an okay ban back then, especially depending on what kind of champions you were picking for yourself. So if we look at the champion pool for top laners, we have Poppy, Cho'Gath, Gangplank, Ornn. Cho'Gath is not something you see on most players, but I guess the Antonio is a Cho'Gath one-trick pony, so can't really be mad at that. He actually has played that in the tournament as well. We see that right here. So I would expect that to be a real option for them on Wednesday. So what does that mean for the Antonio? So as an option on DraftKings, if you just told me the champion that they could pick, I'd have a pretty good understanding of what kind of ceiling they have. Cho'Gath actually has a pretty good ability to score a lot of DraftKings points, because when he's in team fights, not only does he have AoE abilities that are going to give him the assist upside, he also has some, I don't know if I'd really call it assassination threats, but one-shotting threats where he can use his ultimate to kind of finish off a carry. So he's a pretty disruptive champion. If you see Cho'Gath, it's going to be a little out of left field on Wednesday, but don't be too concerned because apparently they play that a lot. Next up, we're going to go to the jungle. So we have Trundle, Gragas, Talia, Sejuani, Karthus, Jarvan. So most junglers play the same champions, but then some other junglers play not only the generic jungle champions, but also carry champions. It doesn't look like Llama Bear plays any of the what I would consider carry junglers in this meta. So that makes me feel like his upside is a little lower in terms of being like a captain. So actually, let's start taking some notes. Plays Cho'Gath. That's really all we need to know about that. Jungle, not a carry. Lower ceiling for captain. And obviously, like, this can change. Like, if you play Jarvan or Sejuani, you can have a ridiculous game where you get a bunch of kills. Like, we've seen Peanut do that on Sejuani, and we've seen a lot of players do that on Jarvan. But you're really going to have a higher assist upside. Like, I guess Karthus, too, theoretically, is a carry jungler. But it has less aggression available to it throughout the game. So that's it for the jungle. Let me just make this a little smaller. Next up, we have their mid laner. And I mean, if I'm being really honest with you, I don't care what their summoner names are. I just care that it's the mid laner for Giants. So when I'm taking my notes, I'm just going to be focused on that. And this is like annoying to navigate. So that's the other reason for that. So if we look at the mid lane champions, we have Victor, Syndra, Pantheon, Akali, Azir, Veigar, and Kiana, and Corki. So again, mid lane, well, in professional League of Legends, really, we see most players just kind of playing what everyone else plays because they're considered the best champions. Sometimes you'll get teams that are willing to kind of like go off of that and play something that's good specifically against the enemy team. That is really the best case scenario for the draft, is that you have a team that's confident enough to go for a pick that other teams just wouldn't go for, because it makes them a little bit more difficult to prepare for. So it is a good thing for the mid laner on Giants that they play a lot of different champions, but I don't see anything that is unique. Like, it's a lot of different champions, but these are all champions that we see pretty often. Then we can go to, so we're just going to call him Vanilla. 80 carry. So I am kind of distracted just watching the end of, well, not the end, but what would appear to be the end of Sandbox Gaming in LCK. The promotion tournament's going on right now, and it looks like they're just going to end the game. So Dynamics won. I did like all the underdogs. Not saying that I thought they would definitely win, but I thought that they both had really good chances to win the series outright, which you wouldn't really expect for the most part. So next up we have the 80 carry. We have Varus, Misfortune, Senna, Aphelios. Every 80 carry plays those champions. There's nothing unique there. So, yeah, Dynamics just won. That's pretty cool. Good for them. So, another basic 80 carry. And then let's go to support. Thresh, Tahm Kench, Nautilus, Braum. So it's basic. It is kind of tough to differentiate yourself as an 80 carry or a support, because there are so many champions that are considered like the best, and when you're a professional team and you go away from those picks, you're kind of just asking to be ridiculed. And personally, I don't think teams should let that really get to them, but they do. Okay, so next up, we have LDLC. We'll do the same thing, top, jungle, mid, AD carry, support. Alright, so it looks like they didn't have many games throughout the season, I guess, because of coronavirus and everything. So we have Ornn, Aatrox, Gnar, Renekton, Set, Gangplank. So Gnar is a little bit less popular. In this meta where Blade of the Ruin King was buffed, he's probably a little bit better if Gnars build Blade of the Ruin King now. I'm assuming they do. But nothing very like flashy. So the fact that he plays Aatrox, that's a good thing. Most top laners play Aatrox, but some teams don't like picking it because it's tough to play. Well, it's not really that tough to play from behind. Like, you can always kind of be an engage, but you don't have the same damage output when you're behind. So not that big of a deal. Jungler, we see a lot of Lee Sin. We see an Olaf game, a Elise game. So that tells me that their jungler is a carry player. I'm not sure if they play Kindred or Graves, but those are going to be very important champions in this meta, in the tournament, just in general, because they scale really well, they do a ton of damage, and that's where solo queue comes into play. So all these players, when they're not playing their like practices or their professional matches, they're grinding the ranked ladder, which is basically just pick up games that like give you a rating, and players use that as like a barometer of how strong they are compared to other players. So these players are probably playing things like Kindred and Graves in some of their solo queue matches. So I'm sure that they could pick it up, but it does require the team to play a little bit different. Like when you play something like Trundle or Gragas or Sejuani, your team can kind of play the same. When you have a Lee Sin, it's slightly different. When you have Kindred Graves, it's different. So it depends on how comfortable the teams are playing with those kinds of champions. Next up in the mid, we have Echo, Azir, Zoe, LeBlanc, Akali. Nothing to see there. In AD carry, we have a Draven game, which is interesting. We have a Ziggs game. So Draven and Ziggs are interesting to see. Ziggs, people keep saying that AP champions are overpowered right now in the bot lane, but I don't really see it. I think there are certain matchups that are probably really good, but I don't think it's as broken as other people are saying right now. And then in the support role, we see Lulu. So that is a good thing to see, because a lot of players are talking about the like enchanter supports that are going to come back, which it's always just a game of rock paper scissors, kind of, where something gets really popular and then there are champions that counter that strategy, so then that becomes really popular, and then the champions that counter that strategy get popular again. So it's just the cycle that we kind of go through, and everyone completely forgets the cycle once they're out of the previous portion of it. So it does make sense that enchanters are coming back, because their ability to help carries, the AD carry specifically, by like making them even stronger, is very good in like high stress environments like playoffs and tournaments, because teams are a little bit less likely to be super aggressive, and like the extreme aggression can really make a game with an enchanter support go out of control, where they just get focused and destroyed. Then we also see set support, so that's pretty good. So enchanters, set, and then everything else is similar to what everybody else does, so there's not a huge difference there. AGO. So we see a lot of Ornn, Set, Maokai, Aatrox. So nothing abnormal there. In the jungle, we have Rek'Sai, Jarvan, Gragas. Poppy's different, Nunu is different. An Ivern game. That's pretty funny. I don't think there's much we can take away from this. The fact that they play a lot of Rek'Sai is a little scary to me. Rek'Sai's an okay champion, but in pro play, that's like you're going for more of an early game champion that falls off pretty hard in the late game. Not the best, not my preferred strategy, I guess is what I should say. Mid lane we have mostly Azir, then we have Diana. I think I did actually watch this game, that was kind of a mess. Corki, Azir, Victor, Diana. Pretty basic champions, nothing crazy, but we'll take a note of it. So they must be pretty comfortable on Diana. There are a lot of games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and not everybody plays Diana right now. It's another one of those champions that's different for a team to play around. Next up, AD carry, Varus, Aphelios, Senna, Ezreal, Ziggs. That's fine, nothing super unique there. They play a lot of Tahm Kench, Maokai with Senna, Yumi. So nothing really to see there. Diffuse kids. Malphite. Okay, so these guys play a lot of interesting stuff. So this is kind of unfortunate because like you see a team like Diffuse Kids, they're trying all these different champions and stuff like that, but then they're just like constantly losing, and that kind of makes other teams afraid, like afraid to do the same thing and look stupid. But in reality, that's probably just more of a talent discrepancy. So I wouldn't blame the champions for that. Just seeing if the starting lineups came out. So, okay, Sword, Tarzan, Yukal, Viper, Wadid.
Pike on money. We making pike on money. Payday, about to throw a rack on China. Need some DFS advice, where can I find some? League of Items got the sheet with all the lineups and all the stacks that you need to get to diamond.
Okay. So Malphite, I do like the Malphite pick. I think that in this meta, when you're playing against a lot of immobile AD carries, I think Malphite is just a good champion. Mundo, I'm not so sure about the Mundo. Definitely not as good as Malphite. Mundo is good against a lot of magic damage, so maybe this isn't the best team comp to play it against. Like if there were two AP solo laners locked in, then I could see a Mundo pick, but I'm not gonna force it. And it looks like they had some kind of idea that it'd be really strong, but looks like that one failed pretty bad. In the mid lane, Kassadin, Azir, Xerath. So I like the fact that they play Xerath and Kassadin. Xerath is good against Xerath is good against Azir, because he outranges him. But it's not like a counter. It's not a hard counter. So that might actually be a bad sign, because if you know that the other team is going to consider playing Azir, then you would probably want to have a better matchup. So it looks like every time that Xerath is played, there is a lower range champion on the other team. So Akali, Echo, Akali, Cassiopeia. So they're trying to play like a bully, which makes sense. Okay. And then AD carry, Aphelios, Varus, Ezreal, Senna, Kalista, Lucian, Yasuo. So sometimes they play the Yasuo bot lane. That's a good thing in my opinion. I like teams when they are willing to do stuff like that. So that's basically it. So let's go back through and look at the games. So we have a 45-minute game, LDLC versus Vodafone Giants. So that's the second place team versus the first place team. It was 27-17. So that's pretty crazy. In a 27 kill game, the Antonio played Shogat and had 15 kill participation, so 15. I'm just looking at these numbers right here. So you add the first number and the last number together, and those are the positive stats that we want. So it's kills, deaths, assists. So 15 out of 27 is not great. 23 out of 27 is good. 18 out of 27 is not great. 17 out of 27 is not great, but they're okay. And then this is pretty bad. Like, you don't want to see this and you don't want to see this. So like if you were stacking this game, you probably would just want these three and then one of these. So you'd probably want this one more because you're getting less kill downside or death downside. And then LDLC 45-minute match, down 7k gold at the end of the game. That's really not that bad, so we'll have to see during the game how close it actually was, because you can play a 45-minute game and never have a chance of winning. And other times, yeah, I mean, basically that's basically it. So Bando versus Antonio 11. So in a loss, these aren't horrible score lines in losses. This is actually a very good score line in a loss. 6, 5, and 10 is very good when you're losing. So I'm going to want to see how the draft went in general. But again, look, so we see Ziggs, Zoe, Trundle, Gnar. I don't like this team composition really, because there's no great source of sustained damage. Like, most of your sustained damage throughout a team fight is coming from Gnar and Trundle. Ziggs can throw out a lot of bombs, but the pace of how he's like using his abilities is not as fast as somebody like an MF. Like, MF can shoot you, Q, shoot, and like with her attack speed steroid, she just does a lot more consistent damage, and it's a lot simpler to do because Ziggs, he has a bunch of skill shots. MF, you just have to right click somebody basically, and her ultimate's great. Ziggs is good for different reasons. It's just I don't love playing Ziggs as a bot champion right now. Then the Zoe versus LeBlanc matchup, that's somewhat common matchup. But again, you don't have a lot of sustained damage with Zoe. It's like burst damage, periodic burst damage. So I want to see how the draft actually went, but just looking at this, I would say that Vodafone Giants won this game in the draft. Next up, AGO Rogue against the Fuse Kids. 6k gold difference. It's not horrible. Only 7-3. So that's interesting to see. We'll have to see how much they die in their losses. So Azir versus Kassadin. I like this. I do like the fact that they would play Kassadin into Azir, because even though in the beginning of the game you lose that matchup, you like scale extremely well, and then you can become a huge problem in the late game. I don't like giving away Senna. So if we're looking at the bans, they banned Set, Rek'Sai, and Varus. Yeah, I don't like that the fact that the Fuse Kids gave up Senna. That's a bad sign in terms of what they're prioritizing. But I mean, 7 kills to 3, so that means that AGO Rogue, they don't necessarily need to go for a lot of kills to get a win, and that's not not every team can do that. Like, sure, they could do that, but most teams try to force the issue more often than that to just end up with 7 kills. So then Vodafone Giants against Diffuse Kids. Again, we have Diffuse Kids losing without giving up a ton of kills. So this means they're more focused on like the macro game. They're trying to pick their spots a little bit more intelligently, but they're not. I guess the draft kind of makes sense. Like, if you're just trying to outscale, why not play a tank in the top lane or a tank support and then just try to scale? Like, I don't hate the Karma, but Karma Ezreal against Senna Maokai, are you really expecting the Karma to destroy the Senna Maokai that hard? Just not great. And like, if this is your mentality, I wish that Diffuse Kids would play something like Ornn, because if you have Varus and a Zir, then I think like an Ornn with another jungler would have made more sense. Especially if you're playing this kind of game where you have low deaths, like you're giving stuff away throughout the game, and then you hit the level 14 or 15 spike with Ornn, and you get the free gold. I think that makes a lot more sense, because if you're Diffuse Kids and you play passively, you're going to have to assume that when you get to the 20 or 30 minute mark, you're going to be down by between 2,000 to 4,000 gold, which in general is a losing position, and you don't want to be in that position. But if you're just going to let the other team do whatever they want, then that's kind of just how it's going to go. Oh, did they give up Senna again too? So they did that twice. They gave up Senna here. They gave up Senna again, which is horrible. I think that's just a huge mistake. So they were more focused on banning out Pantheon than banning out Senna. Yeah, Senna's a good champion. Alright, next up, LDLC versus AGO Rogue, 11,000 gold difference. That's gigantic. So this game probably just got out of control pretty early. We have 2 enchanters. LeBlanc against Diana. This game doesn't look like the draft really decided this. I think both team compositions make sense for different reasons. Maybe the Diana was questionable, but we're gonna have to look at that in the actual draft itself. Then we have Vodafone Giants against AGO Rogue. Sion versus Ornn is fine. Sep versus Rek'Sai is fine. Corki Azir is fine. So this is a very basic draft. Vodafone Giants, another big kill score in a win, and also giving up a lot of kills. So even when Vodafone Giants wins, so that's important. I think that you're definitely going to want them. Constantly gives away Senna equals red flag. Don't do that. Good draft. This is, well, I mean, I don't know if I'd say good draft. This is what you expect to see in a draft. If everyone can kind of expect you to do something like this, does that make it inherently bad? Kinda. Not bad. Just missed opportunities. I think it's mostly missed opportunities. And then last game, Diffuse Kids against LDLC. Malphite. I do like to see the Malphite. So Malphite, Zac, Zerak, Aphelios, Thresh. Wow, so look at that. Akali was 5, 6, and 0 in a win. That's disgusting. That's bad. So this must have been a very ugly game. I think Diffuse Kids was probably winning at one point. 6, 3, and 5. So they probably had a lead at some point in that game. So let's go into the matches themselves. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at the pick order, because that tells you like what they're prioritizing and stuff like that. And then I'm going to go into the game and try to see if there were any like huge things that I notice that could like help inform our opinions of these teams. So this is going to be on double speed, and I'll probably jump around. Oh, whoops. But before we do that, we need to know what they're playing. Okay, so we see banning out Azir, Bears, Aphelios. So LDLC bans Aphelios. They didn't plan on playing Aphelios. I feel like that is a mistake. You should always give yourself the opportunity to play the best champion in the game. That's just something I think in general. So bans Aphelios as blue sometimes. That's bad. We don't want to see that. So prioritizing Ziggs. Don't like that. But again, this was the first match. Maybe they ended up changing their opinion on this. Giants goes with MF LeBlanc. Pretty generic. Like LeBlanc as a blind pick, I guess, is an okay champion. Like if you know that the other team isn't going to like go for extreme counter picks, like if they haven't shown that in their history, then you don't have to be as afraid to blind pick a mid laner like LeBlanc, because the chances of them actually picking a real counter is pretty low. So that's probably fine. She must like most of her matchups against the rest of Vethios champion pool. So then we have Thresh and Zoe. Thresh is fine, Zoe's fine. Not exciting. Giants picks up Nautilus, which is fine. Then they pick their jungler, which makes sense. MF plus Jarvan's a good combination of champions, so that's good to see. They're just good champions in general, but when they have the added synergy of their abilities, it's always pretty good. Trundle and Gnar. So blind picking Gnar is probably a mistake as well. Gnar, unless they think that Gnar is like broken right now because of the Blade of the Ruin King buff, I think there are probably much better champions they could have picked. So the fact that they banned out Ornn is interesting as well. I guess they didn't want it to go over because they needed some physical damage from top lane. So if you're going to get physical damage from top lane, does it really need to be a Gnar? You could do Gnar, you could do Jace, you could do Lucian, but then you don't really have great engage. But this is going to be a poke composition, so I guess Gnar also makes sense as a poke composition. You have Trundle Pillar to kind of help slow down the enemy team, Trouble Bubble to slow down the enemy team. So I don't think that LDLC really had a problem in the draft. It's just it's so much more difficult to play because you're looking for picks, and you're looking to start fights with long range engages and kind of like cheating your way to victory, where you don't really have to do a 5-on-5 team fight. You're more focused on splitting and just like blowing up one person on the enemy team so that it's an unfair fight, which is fine. It's just it's so difficult to play that kind of style. When you look at the Giants lineup, MF, simple to use champion, great ultimate, great around dragon fights, great around Rift Herald fights, can really snowball pretty hard, has a good attack speed, steroid. These are all good things for your champion. LeBlanc, she can get picks, maybe not the best synergy with MF, but she opens up the potential to split push. Like not great, but she can technically split push because of her mobility, so she can always like just be annoying to deal with. So that's an okay thing to have on your team regardless of what the rest of your team looks like. And then she can also just go off and get a million kills in a team fight, depending on how fed she is. So I do think that LeBlanc's okay in most matchups. Nautilus, another simple champion, great engage, has a lot of CC. His ultimate, his Q, that's all good. Jarvan, similar, great engage, great throughout the game. Kind of falls off late game, but at that point you're only really being used for Cataclysm, and the attack speed steroid. So he also does give an attack speed steroid to Misfortune with his flag. And then Shogath, it makes a lot of sense still because you have good engage. This is good follow-up engage, and if you get onto the Ziggs or the Zoe, then they're just gonna die. So, I mean, it's tough to say. Like when I saw this the first time, if I knew that Giants, if I didn't know that Giants was going to win, who would I like from the draft? I'd still probably prefer this side. That's just me. So let's get into the game and see if we can find where it starts to go wrong. Okay. So a lot of fights. Let's see. So right now we're just looking mostly for when the gold lead becomes a 2,000 gold lead, because that's a pretty significant thing that I look for. So right now it's at 1,500 gold. Rift Herald is up. They're gonna fight over Rift Herald right now. So, I mean, just from the if you switched the team compositions and LDLC had a 1,500 gold lead, it would feel much stronger because they're able to just engage at will. So right there, even though they're behind, they kind of have a tempo advantage because it's easier for them to engage fights than it is for LDLC. So when they're playing around an objective and trying to have objective control, it's tough for them to keep Giants away. So going for a pick composition is fine, but in this kind of meta where like every dragon and every Rift Herald is going to be contested, probably, it just doesn't make as much sense. So they're going for first tower. It's a good rotation, but again, okay, that's fine. So right now we have that 2,000 gold lead. So the fact that LDLC lost from this position is kind of concerning. I think it does come down to their draft though. So lost after being up over 2K. That's one of the main things that scares me about teams is when they get into this kind of spot. So we're gonna watch this until we find out where they start throwing away their lead, because it'll tell us something about their decision-making process. So LDLC has a 2,000 gold lead, is going for a dragon. So now Dragon Soul is like 20 minutes away. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe they just kind of stalled out trying to play for Dragon Soul, and it just went wrong or went sideways. So now it's 1.4. Why did it decrease by so much? Okay, now it's back over 2,000 gold. I guess there was a big wave somewhere on the map. So that's a good play by LDLC. Just like trying to scare the enemy team. So basically right now, like with the way that their draft went, in order for LDLC to maintain their advantage, they're going to have to apply pressure on the side waves with Gnar. Ziggs is a good champion at taking towers and stuff too, so like I don't hate the idea. It's just I think having Ziggs with Zoe is probably a little extreme. Maybe that's just the problem. Yeah, so even though they're 2,500 gold behind, they get this for free. So that's bad. When you're in the lead by several thousand gold, you should be dictating every play on the map, basically, where you decide, like, who gets the Rift Heralds, who gets the dragons, and stuff like that. But again, their objective control is kind of bad because of their draft. Oh shit. So that was a bad play. They went for a dive for no reason. What do they lose off of that? Wow. Okay, so those are kind of like back-to-back mistakes. So Ziggs was overextended, didn't see the teleport coming in right away, and then had to blow his flash. So then, like at the dragon fight, if Ziggs has to flash away because he's being engaged on, and he's not able to, then this is kind of the reason that we have.
Keep on winning on a roll. Kill for dragons got soul. Now you got nowhere to go. Teleporting top to bot. Dive your carry on the spot. That's an ace. Wreck your base. Wear my crown. We on top.
It always feels good to throw a W at a tower and just have it destroyed easily. Okay, so that, I mean, that's good by LDLC. So they must have made like a huge mistake later on. The timing is also difficult when you have a Gnar on your team to have them enraging at the right time. Okay, let's see. So Giants is pretty low right here. What are they fighting over? So now they have a 4,000 gold lead. Losing from 4,000 gold is so bad. Okay, so they I mean, they just kind of lost a disjointed team fight. Not team fight. They got picks on 2 different parts of the map. Okay, that's not terrible. But now they only have 2,000 gold. So they gave up 2 kills, they gave up a tower. I'm guessing there was shutdowns involved in this as well. Yeah, so the Zoe had a shutdown. Thresh may not have had a shutdown. So Vodafone Giants, because of the amount of engage they have on their team composition, they can kind of just threaten diving different things. So if they wanted to, they can just go bot lane and try to kill whoever's protecting the tower. See, look, it's just so much easier. Like, the game plan is so much easier for Giants. And they played that wrong too. Cause like, even though they're not playing correctly, it's like so much easier for them to play that they can just do whatever they want, really. So they get another dragon, so they're 3 dragons. Do they get Dragon Soul and lose, or do they overcommit to Dragon Soul and then give away a dragon and a Baron or something like that? I love seeing this. So Vodafone Giants is going for Baron because they think that the recall was bad on the other team, so they get a free kill from against Gnar. Okay, yeah, this guy's kind of not playing very well, their top laner. So played bad against the Giants, kind of. First team game with suspect draft. I'm not blaming the top lane, I'm just saying there was like more than one reason. Like, yes, he's playing bad, but they also had the bad draft, so like, who do you really blame? So again, that was a pretty easy engage for Giants, but they couldn't get anything off of it. And it does look like Gnar is going for Blade of the Ruined King. So he's not going to be tanky. Like, I do remember watching this game, actually. So it just seems so tough. Like, getting a fight on your terms is so difficult. Like, when you need to force the issue. Like, when you're playing behind and need to force the issue. So if you're ahead and you have map pressure, then you can kind of get away with this. But if you don't have map pressure, then, I mean, it's going to be tough.
No, you don't need the
Real tough. Yeah, so he just gets caught out again. Like, if you look at the jungle, mid lane, and AD carry, like, they all have 2 or less deaths. Like, not much going on in this game besides Gnar dying. So Dragon's up in 20. Are they gonna have Gnar? See, like right here, how are they going to stop Giants from just taking away this dragon? And this is the most important dragon of the game so far, because it's the last one. So that's a horrible ultimate by Ziggs. I remember that. And then Cho'Gath takes away the dragon with his ultimate, which I guess probably did more damage than Smite. So that is another good part about having a Cho'Gath on your team, is objective control. So Trundle just dies, almost dies there. Another bad Ziggs ultimate. When you're first picking Ziggs and you're playing like this, it's pretty bad. They're still up about 1.8k gold. So this is good. This is a good rotation. They'll get a tower off of it. But at a certain point, like, you could be up 5,000 gold and just have such a more difficult team composition that you can't really utilize the gold advantage that you have. And that's kind of what it seems like right now. So they're setting up for Baron, but with their team composition, they can't even like sneak a Baron or take the Baron extremely fast. I mean, the fact that they have a Gnar, so Gnar does a decent amount of damage to it. Ziggs does an okay amount of damage to it. Zoe doesn't, so that's not great. And then Trundle is Trundle, so you would really be depending on Gnar to do a lot of damage to Baron. Oh, don't do it, Gnar. See, okay, so right there, basically, like, when he's at gigantic, when he's gigantic, he is a lot tankier. Obviously, has more health. His range decreases, but like, you need that because he's gonna be your tank basically for this fight. So then you have to wait out the passive, which is gonna be potentially a problem. So LeBlanc can also just run around trying to one-shot people. 3k gold. Dragon's up in 25. So this is a big dragon fight. I'm guessing Giants wins this dragon fight based off of what we know about the game. Okay, so they took away another dragon. They got a kill. See, look at they're just chasing down, and it's not easy for them to do. Man, I can't believe they lose from this position. Like something abnormal must happen. They're up 3,000 gold again. See, like, they really needed to commit a little bit harder to actually doing the Baron. Misfortune was down, so that's questionable shot calling right there. Like, since they're up 3,000 gold, they don't need to make desperate plays like that. But when it's the right play, you should just make the right play. Another tower. So 5 towers. Their tower difference is basically the entire difference in the goal in their gold advantage. So they got most of his health, but they couldn't finish it off. And then again, it looks like they're just afraid, because there's so much engage coming from Giants. Like, all they have to do is get a good Cataclysm, good Misfortune ultimate. What is going on? Then they just get pushed off the Baron. Oh, I'd love to see them just like fully commit to something like that. Because now they're in a spot where, again, in a minute, they're going to have to just get into position for Dragon, which is not going to be easy. So, like, now it's like this is, like, the deciding fight for the entire game. Because if you lose this fight, you lose Dragon, which is horrible. It's Cloud, so it's not the worst thing ever. And then just walking in without vision, your jungler dies. That's pretty horrible. You get the 80 carry back, which is pretty good. But that was a suicide mission. And now they just get the Dragon. So, I mean, at this point, you get the Dragon, then you should get the Baron pretty easily, and that's what turns it. That's what turns it, I guess. So, like, they're up 17-13 in terms of kills, but they have Dragon Soul as well. Man, just so difficult. Like, when you don't have your flashes against that composition. So they can just rinse and repeat because of their team composition. So, I mean, it's a good try. Like, you have to kind of try to make that play there, but... So, what happens here? I mean, they get so many more kills. Like... How do they get so many more kills? I guess respawns. Gnar and Trundle both die. Yeah. Oh, this is the game. Okay. I remember that. Yeah, just for a pentakill. Okay. So LDLC showed that they can get a lead in the early game against Giants. So depending on what the money line is, I would consider betting them. Yeah, so like right here, like I think this is a good bet. I would expect LDLC to. I mean, maybe saying expect them to win isn't the right idea, but that game was not indicative of a 70-30 matchup. That was more like 55-45. Maybe Giants has been more like one harder, but if you're just looking at the kill scores, it's not going to tell the whole story. Oh, it's getting kind of cold. Hat. Robe Life with a hat. What a cool guy. Okay, so now we have AGO Rogue against Diffuse Kids. So Diffuse Kids, like we said earlier, the fact that they continuously give up Senna is pretty concerning. Banned out Rek'Sai. I guess this is the guy that does play a lot of Rek'Sai. So I guess it makes sense. But giving up Senna first is bad. Picking Trundle is okay. It seems to be pretty popular in Korea, China, well, mostly Korea and Europe right now with Trundle. I guess China too, but not the carry style that I prefer out of my junglers right now. Ezreal against Senna. I don't think that you should be giving away Senna because you want to play Ezreal. I just don't think that's a trade that is going to create a winning difference in the long run. So then we have Azir and Gragas, and then they automatically take Kassadin. I think that's pretty smart. The one issue is that since you picked the Kassadin instead of using it as your last pick, it allows a Maokai. Because maybe they did want Maokai either way with Senna, but Maokai with Senna against the Kassadin is even better because he can lock down Kassadin, which is difficult for most other champions to do. Then we have Aatrox, Karma, Camille. So, I mean, I don't hate the rest of the draft. I just don't like that they're giving up Senna, and I don't like that they picked Kassadin right there. So maybe drafting is not their strong suit. But it would appear like they don't really have a strong suit, if I'm being honest. Let's get some music in here.
No, you don't need the.
I'm doing this my way. He a legend, he a legend, he a legend. He a legend, he a legend, he a legend. He a legend. Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the
Pico money. We making Pico money. Payday, about to throw a rack on.
So they've already gotten a couple hundred gold lead just from minions and turret plates, which means that DK's, they're probably just weak laners in general. They give up Rift Herald and Dragon for nothing, so that's a bad sign. Down 700 gold already, just getting shoved into his lane. I mean, it is Kassadin, so they have one losing lane. They should be winning that matchup bot lane though, right? So I guess this whole Kassadin situation is pretty bad. Now they're going to 3-man top. They get first blood. Then they're going to drop Rift Herald top. Maybe not. So they get back some plates mid, which is fine. So right now it's 1,000 gold. So we'll watch this because it's coming. It's got to be coming up soon, where this game just gets out of control. So it should be first tower. Right when that tower goes down, that should be a 2,000 gold lead. That was a good teleport. I mean, at least they tried to make a play. DK was trying to make a play there. Yeah, so the mid laners were backing with the intention of going bottom. Yeah, so that's going to be this tower, and then they could probably just take the next Rift Herald and then get bot tower. So now we have a 3,500 gold lead. So in my opinion, this game should be over. I just also happen to know that RGO won this game. So, but if these were any two teams, once you go up 2,500 gold, or 3,500, or 4,000 gold, you should be winning that game at least 80% of the time. And if you can't do that, then you're not a good team. Makes it very difficult to trust teams when they can give up that kind of gold lead. So I mean, it's gonna be really difficult betting on Diffuse Kids. But you're also not getting any value against them. So you have Vodafone Giants is 88% favorite, AGO 72% favorite. That's going to be the closest one, and then LDLC is 80% favorite. So if you're okay with getting a 20% return, then I mean you could risk it, but losing that bet is going to hurt so bad if you lose that one. So in terms of if I wanted to get exposure to these lines against Diffuse Kids, I guess you can try to do AGO Rogue and LDLC. I would not touch this ever. Like, even though, like, yes, you should never lose that bet because Diffuse Kids just looks horrible. But if you're risking $700 to make 100 and then you lose that bet, you're just gonna feel like such a jackass. So that's the one where you just kind of stay away because you don't want to have your heart broken. Yeah. So I mean, if you're Diffuse Kids, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, maybe we can outscale eventually. That's really the hope. But I'm not watching any more of this game. All right, next up, Vodafone Giants against Diffuse Kids. So again, Diffuse Kids giving up Senna Tom Kench. They banned away the Cho'Gath, so that's probably smart. This team likes target banning. I guess they think that's good.
Oh.
Let's see how fast this gets out of control. So again, we see Diffuse Kids giving up leads. In the laning phase without anything else really going on. Ooh. SRB just locked in a Darius in the promotion tournament. That's exciting. So again, they give up first dragon for nothing. It's like they don't understand like when the objectives are going to happen. Like, that should be pretty obvious. That was a horrible flash. Wow. So I mean, that feels good getting first blood, but first blood is means nothing when you have a 500 gold deficit just by laning. Like, that's pretty bad.
We making Pico money. Payday, about to throw a rack on China. Need some DFS advice, where can I find some? League of Items got the sheet with all the lineups and all the stacks that you need to get the diamond. League of Items.
Getting gold, that's the goal. Keep on winning on a roll. Turbo Dragons got soul. Now you got nowhere to go. Teleporting top to bot. Dive your carry on the spot. That's an ace. Wreck your base. Wear my crown. We on top.
So they are doing a much better job in the early game. But how do you turn that into a win? That is the question. Whoa. So they have a 400 gold lead. At least they're not giving up the Rift Herald for free. Or actually, did they give up the Rift Herald for free? Yeah, they gave up the Rift Herald already. Yeah, so their objective control is a nightmare. Like if you could bet on that, that's the kind of thing where one of these days you're gonna see lines like that, where you can bet on like first dragon, and then every single game I would bet against Diffuse Kids getting the first dragon. I would actually check that if you have like those other kinds of bets on your website. I would look for giving up first Rift Herald, giving up first dragon, losing first tower. All of those kinds of things. You'll probably get better odds than the money line for the game. But all those things are so highly correlated with winning that I guess you could just get away with doing that. So Diffuse Kid still has a gold lead, but that gold lead does not mean much. Man, we've got a Darius in the promotion tournament. Wild. Oh no. Okay, that's not bad. So they did a pretty good job defending that. A very explosive game, potentially explosive game. Just continuously committing everyone. Gives up a kill for free. And then I'm guessing they get a couple plates here. Sejuani's here. So another Rift Herald. Let's see if they actually try to play around this. I'm going to guess they do not. Dragon in a minute and a half. They're going for the... So they're just trying to trade the tower for the Rift Herald, which is stupid. The other lane already had pressure in it, so they were going to potentially just give up both. And they gave up Rift Herald plus a tower for a tower. I'm not sure if you are any good at math, but... 2 is more than 1. Especially in a game where, like, it's so close. Like, why are you just giving stuff up? Do they think that they outscale? The other team has Senna. And... Well, I mean... I guess it is pretty close in terms of scaling. But do you really trust yourself to scale well if you're the worst team? I wouldn't trust them. They actually get a dragon. Oh my god, what is Poppy doing? They stole that dragon. Oh my god. That's tragic. So, I mean, now we get the 2,000 gold lead. I don't care what team you are. I assume that you're going to win this game. And then it's probably good to see. Yes, they get Dragon Soul. I mean, this is pretty good. At least they're fighting them over this. 7 towers to 3? What the hell? Oh, they took one of the other towers in their base. So, I mean, this part isn't horrible, but I'm not betting on Diffuse Kids, and I'm not putting them in my rosters. I'll tell you that much right now. So I would expect Diffuse Kids, their ownership for this slate is going to be extremely low.
First, we're gonna see.
Oh. Okay, so Varus, so banned out Azir, Thresh, Syndra, Senna. Did Aphelios get through this entire draft? See, this is interesting, but I think it's a mistake. Like, everybody's getting too cute now. They think like, oh, you know, we'll just leave the Aphelios open and we're just not going to pick it because we have a strategy to beat it. But I'd rather have Aphelios on my team and then you show me that you can beat it. If you can beat it, congrats. more mid-game. I guess we'll have to see what Varus went. If he went, oh, that's not good. First Dragon, LDLC. LDLC has pretty good macro. I think they're probably just better than... They might be the best team in the group. Like, if you can find odds for LDLC winning the group, I would bet on them. That's probably good value. Because as long as they beat VGIA, they're going to win the group, right? I don't know what the tiebreaker is. Let's see. I guess it doesn't really say what the tiebreaker is. Let's see. Okay, so RGO has a lead in this game. Do they throw right now? There's no way. No way! Oh my god, they didn't commit to the Baron. Oh my god. That's a pretty bad mistake. So it's still 50-50. They really should have finished off that Baron. That's bad decision making. See, that's the difference between a good team and a bad team right there. Let's see how they set this up. So they got a kill on the top laner, and then immediately go to Baron. They probably are thinking to themselves, it's a close game. In order to win, we are going to need to make a game-winning play. And they make a game-winning play. So Maokai teleported in and then just had to back. He felt like he couldn't do anything in that fight. So off of that one play, they should win the game. They had Ocean Soul, the Cloud Soul already.
We making Pico money. Payday, about to throw a rack on China.
That was good.
Need some DFS advice, where can I find some?
Okay, so again, their options right now are make a game-winning play, try to get this Elder Dragon. Like, it's risky, yes, but you kind of need to make a risky play at this point in the game. Oh, it kind of resets. It's kind of unfortunate. Resets again. So they get the Elder Dragon. So that's good. So this was a good play by AGO Rogue. AGO? RGO? I'm not sure why they're coming up as different things. Maybe I just typed it wrong. And they're winning again. Ugh, God. So they were winning, threw away the lead. LDLC kind of threw it back. So LDLC is not perfect from ahead. So let's see how they outplay him here. Ooh, they missed 2 ultimates there. Wasted 3 ultimates. But to get a tower, that's worth it. But do they overextend? Good flank. Ooh. Wow. Close fight. Oh, and they get Baron off of that. Oh my God.
Pico money, Pico money, Pico money. We making Pico money. Payday, about to throw
Yeah,
a
see,
rack
so
on China. Need some DFS advice, where can I find some? League of Items got the sheet with all the lineups and all the stacks that you need to
So they basically had their base was being closed in on. Wait, what? Yeah, so they go from being in their own base to getting an ace, getting Baron, their first Elder Dragon, but the second Elder Dragon in the game, and then just closing out the game. So both teams kind of played that pretty bad. So this, not that one. This makes sense. That's probably a pretty good line, but I would just take this. I'd bet that. Wouldn't bet that. LDLC. I would bet that. VGIA versus. This is interesting. Plus 167. Oh, I wish I was better. Maybe you can get a better line. Look for a better line on this one. So I like those 3 matches for like real bets. Giants against Rogue. We have first pick set. They banned out Felios and Senna, which is good. I think that's a good draft. I don't love the Rek'Sai, but everything else I like. And then this is a pretty generic team composition except for the Scion.
And away that turn.
But I do like the Scion. Whoa. Wow, this game must go on forever.
Pico money, we making Pico money. Payday, bout to throw a rack on China. Need some DFS advice, where can I find some? League of Items got the sheet with all the lineups and all the stacks that you need to get to diamond. League of Items.
Getting gold, that's the goal. Keep on winning on a roll. Kill for dragons, got soul. Now you got nowhere to go. Teleporting top to bot. Dive your carry on the spot. That's an ace. Wreck your base. Wear my crown. We on top.
$2K gold. 2K gold. Uh-oh, that's not good. I guess it wasn't 2K gold. So now we're completely even again. Alright, so this will be an important fight. Good engage by Scion, gets on the Varus. And then again, we have a team just being decisive against that was pretty risky. I mean, they got it, but they gave up more than they really had to. They both just like flashed. Did they both flash out? Okay. It is definitely worth it. So based off of that, they're going to get at least one tower, right? Dragon comes up. That kind of eats into their Baron power play. Good ultimate by Set. Free Dragon. And then they're going to be able to get mid. They have mid priority. They chase this down. I guess they're going to have 2 waves pushing on the towers. So this is good. They're going to turn this Baron into 3 towers at least. Almost 4 towers. They got 4 towers out of that. I'll trade 4 towers for a Corki. Every time. Alright, so let's watch that again. Alright, So, whoops. Not a great MF ult. One for one, no big deal. So I mean, and if you look at this game, I mean, even when they're losing, Rogue has a chance of putting up a bunch of points. Their mid laner and AD carry are both playing very conservative. It's not their job to start fights; it's their job to do damage. And they were setting up an okay play. It's just against a good team, they're gonna sniff it out.
Pico money, we making Pico money. Payday, about to throw a rack on China. Need some DFS advice, where can I find some? League of Items got the sheet with all the lineups and all the stats.
Oh, I should speed it back up. God, there's still so much time left in this game.
Getting gold, that's the goal. Keep on winning on a roll. Triple dragons got sold. Now you got nowhere to go. Teleporting top to bot. Dive your carry on the spot. That's an ace. Wreck your base. Wear my crown. We on top.
Game is very close. They're looking for a Scion engage. So right there, that was bad positioning by RGO. They're just thinking to themselves, we'll trade Infernal Soul for Baron. That's a horrible trade. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, all RGO can do is like stall out for a little while. From this position, Giants should definitely win. So we want to see them win cleanly, but we will see. So because they have the Baron, they feel the need to push up. That's a horrible teleport. What are they doing? Oh my god. That's just horrible decision making. Like, I don't even understand how they thought that could work. And he just used his teleport. Like, what? So now the game is just going to stall out for 2 minutes.
Pico money, we making Pico money. Payday, about to throw a rack on China. Need some DFS advice, where can I find some?
So right now they're down 3k gold, and Giants has Infernal.
Getting gold, that's the goal. Keep on winning on a roll. Triple dragons got sold. Now you got nowhere to go.
Alright, so the reason I want to watch this again is because RGO is either very good at team fighting or Giants made a mistake. So Corki got caught. Bad MF ultimate. So they look like they're somewhat overextending again. I mean, this is pretty impressive. Like, they're not in winning positions, but they're kind of just exerting them. They're forcing themselves, like they're forcing plays on Giants, which is pretty impressive. So that's just a good play by Giants, getting a pick like that. He was taking too long to back. They caught him out. Smart. Then you get a free Elder Dragon off of that. Oh my god. Rogue is going to go for another... Oh, they didn't go for the Baron that time. So Tom Kench getting caught out gives up Elder Dragon and Baron. And then you can't win from there. Like, if you're a Rogue, you should probably just try to fight this. Because you're going to lose if they get it either way. They have Elder Dragon, Infernal Soul, Baron. You lose. That's basically it.
We making Pico money. Payday, about to throw a rack on China. Need some DFS advice, where can I find some? League of Items got the sheet with all the lineups and all the stacks that you need to get to diamond. League of Items.
Getting gold, that's the goal. Keep on winning on a roll. Triple dragons got soul. Now you got nowhere to go. Teleporting top to bot. Dive your carry on the spot. That's an ace. Wreck your base. Wear my crown. We on top.
It's really just a formality at this point. But Giants is taking it slow. They're kind of afraid because Rogue has played it pretty well. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. Okay. And they just end the game. Bunch of free kills. Nice, nice. What's up next? Okay. I'm not going to waste much time on this one. That's funny. Giving up Aphelios, I don't like that. They should have left up Senna because they wouldn't have banned it and they wouldn't have taken it either. Interesting draft from Diffuse Kids. $1,500 gold. They're making aggressive plays. You gotta respect it. Doesn't mean they're gonna win, but at least they're making the aggressive plays. Down 2,000, 2,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3-ish, 3-ish. Bad objective control again too. They're down dragons again, so down 4 towers, 1 dragon, 4,500 gold, roughly 4,000 gold. Gave up another dragon. Interesting. Trying to go for Baron in that spot. Probably not necessary. They're just trying to get a pick, I guess. And it's just like that's how you force your enemy to make mistakes, is by starting up Baron. But this one didn't work out for him. But I do like the fact that they did that. Ooh. So just wait out the timer for Dragon Soul. Continuously pressure Baron. You just don't want to get into a spot where you're going to potentially 50-50. Oh. Whoa. Interesting. $3,000 gold, 4,000 gold. So the dragon's up, so they're probably gonna go for this. And they just snuck it away by better positioning. Wow. So this game's over. Diffuse Kids isn't coming back. I mean, they could kind of just do whatever they wanted to this game.
We making Pico money. Payday, about to throw a rack on China. Need some DFS advice, where can I find some? League of Items got the sheet.
At least they went for this play.
And all the stacks that you need to get to diamond. League of Items.
Getting gold, that's the goal. Keep on winning on a roll. Kill for dragons got soul. Now you got nowhere to go. Teleporting top to bot. Dive your carry on the spot. That's an ace. Wreck your base. Wear my crown. We on top.
The fact they had to steal, that's not great. That's basically it. So, if I'm doing a quick overview of what I think is going to happen on that slate tomorrow, there are 3 bets that I potentially like. I like LDLC over Rogue. Right? Yep, over Rogue. I like LDLC beating Giants. I like Rogue beating DK, just because this is probably not as big of a difference as it should be. Like, everyone should be like the 80%. So those are the 3 bets that I would make. For Draftkings, Giants gives up a lot of kills even when they win, so you might be looking at a game stack. Let's make a note of that. Potential game stacks. That's more for Draftkings, because on Fanduel, like we said, you're going to have to get exposure to them based off of the 3 different games that they have. Giants plays Cho'Gath, which is interesting. Their jungler doesn't play carry champions, which is not great for the captain spot. But if they win 3 of their games and nobody else wins 3 games, then they're going to be probably the highest scoring team on the day. So they probably have the highest upside of anyone. But if I'm projecting the upset of LDLC against Giants, then I'll probably like LDLC more than them. LDLC bans Aphelios as blue sometimes, so they don't have a huge priority on Aphelios, which is bad. In my opinion, they had the bad poke comp draft. They prioritize Ziggs, which I don't love. They lost after being up 4,000 gold to Giants, but it's whatever. Their top laner has looked pretty suspect in some of their games, specifically against Giants, but again, that was somewhat linked to the draft. They got off of a Baron against Giants when they should have just ended it, which would have helped them secure their win. The AD carry plays Draven and Ziggs, which is cool. Rogue has bad decision making. They can get gold leads against the good teams, which is something that you want to see. But the fact that they can't close out those games is concerning. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them get the lead, that they could actually finish out one of the games against the favorites, but it's also less likely that they'll get the early game lead next time. It's important to keep that in mind. Like, just because they got an early game lead doesn't mean they're going to do it again. Then Diffuse Kids, just bad team. I think they'll probably go 0-6. And that's basically it. Thanks for watching. I hope you appreciate all the information, the breakdown. If there's anything else you want to see from my channel, make sure you let me know in the comment section. Follow me on Twitter at League of Items. Follow me on Twitch / The League of Items. And make sure you're sharing the videos so that other people can enjoy the amazing song that we have. Thanks again, and good luck out there.
No, you don't need the.
Legend. He a 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 legend.
Talking on it though, then
He
you
a
can't bring
legend.
it up later.
Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of items. Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of items.
Pico money, Pico money, Pico money. We making Pico money. Payday, about to throw a rack on China. Need some DFS advice, where can I find some? League of Items got the sheet with all the lineups and all the stacks that you need to get to diamond. League of Items!
Getting gold, that's the goal. Keep on winning on a roll. Kill 4 dragons, got soul. Now you got nowhere to go. Teleporting top to bot. Dive your carry on the